Wine and Crime contains graphic and explicit content which may not be suitable for some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Listening to Wine and Crime, the podcast where three friends chug wine, chat true crime, and unleash their worst Minnesotan accents.
Shit, yeah.
Oh,
Shit,
yeah. Fuck yeah.
Shit,
Oh,
yeah.
shit. Must have been smoking and driving.
Tammy loved a good smoke after a thresher ride or what? What is the line?
The vibrations helped her think.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's good.
I'm Kenyon.
Ooh, I'm Lucy.
I'm Amanda.
And we have a very special fan pick for you this week, brought to you by Rebecca Evans.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Rebecca resides on this side of the pond or yonder.
Yond the pond.
Beyond the pond, but Rebecca has selected the topic of London crime.
Gotta love it.
Crime.
Although I now realize that I did not put any geography in my case.
I did.
Okay, good. Oops.
It's okay.
That's all right. We don't need that much.
And I didn't even do it for London. I did it for like where my dude was born.
Yeah.
So people know where London is.
Sure. We'll get to it, I'm sure.
Yeah, so be prepared for all of our accents.
Oi, crikey. Wait, that's like
not it.
Australian.
London gangsta.
Whoa.
Throwback
okay.
from Vanderpump Rules.
Oh, sure.
James's icky dad.
James is the worst.
Yeah, I know.
Good. Hashtag free Raquel. I'm glad she got out of that.
Seriously.
Yikes. Anyway.
Kenyon's like, okay.
Yeah, then let's talk about Animal Crossing.
Animal
She feels really left out.
God. Okay, Amanda, what is our wine crime pairing for London crime?
Oh, we're going to go to London today with our pairing.
The Rhine in Spain
Falls
stands
mainly in the plain. Just you wait, Henry Higgins. Just you wait.
There you go. That's our anchor phrase.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just you wait.
Henry Higgins.
Henry Higgins, just you wait. Ish. Okay, well, now that we've lost all of our listeners,
Yeah.
I did not pair with a wine this week. I'm on kind of a cocktail kick, but I wanted to. It's also fucking cold here still. I know I've complained about this literally every week, but on the day we're recording this, it is April 27th, and like the sun is out, which is definitely reflecting my mood today. It's like very obvious that the sun is shining, but it is not warm. It is still in the mid to high 30s.
You got to cope with some summery cocktails.
I don't mean to make you feel
pretend.
bad, but it's 71 degrees here right now, and I'm really
Cool.
hot.
That did make me feel bad. Thank you for the blanket. I don't mean to make you feel bad. That helps. No offense, but offense. Last week I did more of a summery cocktail. This week I wanted to do something kind of warm and toasty.
Oh.
So I actually, for Christmas, I got a little espresso machine and it has a milk frother.
Yeah.
So
Fancy.
I made a London fog with almond milk. And then I added a shot of Bailey's to it.
Oh my God. Did
Yummy.
you text M?
I haven't texted M yet, but I def will. And
Yeah.
I put it in my favorite cup, my favorite mug that I got for my birthday. It's got boobies all over it.
Boobies.
And that's it. That's what I'm drinking today. A little spot of tea.
Well, that is very London-esque. And as long as you never put it in the microwave, I think they'll approve.
Oh, yeah. No. On the kettle.
All right. Well, cheers. I wish I had thought of that.
Right?
I just restocked on English breakfast tea and accidentally bought it in bulk. So now I have 12 boxes
That's a good accident.
with 50 bags each.
That's a good accident.
My nails are so brittle that I just had to use scissors to open my can of strawberry soda.
Oh, Oh, is it a dry English cider?
Oh, I don't know. It's Angry Orchard.
Oh.
Probably not.
What is that really good? Well, maybe I just thought it was good because I was 18.
Strongbow?
Strongbow.
Somebody else purchased Strongbow, and I believe the recipe has changed slightly, but that is also a go-to. I like a Johnny jump up in a Strongbow. It's like a shot of whiskey.
Oh, yum.
Really good. Shot of whiskey in a dry cider. Mwah, delish.
Love that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Keep that one in your back pocket.
Well, Lachelle, what is our background and perchance psych for London crimes?
For the rain in Spain falls mainly in the plain crimes.
No psych, so I get to do my jingle.
Oh, my favorite sound.
It's like a gentle rain falling on the streets
It really
of London.
is. On the London
Thames.
streets, on the Thames.
Okay, so London is the capital and largest city of England and the United Kingdom,
Oh, the UK.
with a population of over 9 million. And when I say London in this context, I mean Greater London.
Okay,
And we'll
because
get
it is kind of a
to-
sprawling city.
It's sprawling for sure. It is conveniently located on the River Thames and therefore
Oh.
has been a major hub of commerce and settlement for 2 millennia.
Got
You
it.
sound like the lifestyles of the rich and famous guy.
For 2 millennia.
What is it? Champagne wishes and
Caviar
caviar dreams. So clearly London is way old.
Shway.
This is from Wikipedia. In 1993,
It
remains...
goes back to 1993.
Yes. Can you even?
No.
Wow.
Can't.
The history is just tangible. In 1993, remains of a Bronze Age bridge were found on the south foreshore upstream from Vauxhall Bridge. Vauxhall? Vauxhall?
Could not.
I feel like
Couldn't
the
tell
British
ya.
always insist on pronouncing letters that in
Wrong.
French you don't pronounce.
They're just really anti-French pronunciation.
But I could be
think.
wrong.
I
don't know.
appreciate that about the British.
We'll call it Foxhole Bridge. So this Bronze Age bridge either crossed the Thames or reached a now lost island in the Thames. 2 of the timbers were radiocarbon dated to 1750 to 1285 BCE.
Okay.
So it was very old. In 2010, foundations of a large timber structure dated to 4800 to 4500 BCE were found on the Thames south foreshore downstream from Vauxhall Bridge. So they were very
Okay.
close to each other. The function of the Mesolithic structure is unclear, but there was like settlement, there was goings on, there was building
large
of
building.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
That long ago, which is kind
A
of
long-ass
fascinating.
time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Very long time ago. So we know that the Romans controlled London beginning around the year 47. Just the year 47.
That's too long ago.
I don't
That
like
doesn't
it.
make any sense.
It gives me heartburn.
Yeah.
There was some like back and forth with nearby tribes, but at its height in the 2nd century, Roman London had a population of about 60,000. They had it.
That's
they had
a lot
it
of people when like
Yeah.
most villages had like 13.
Right. And they
Right.
were all one family.
right. So then some Anglo-Saxons and Vikings controlled it on and off up to the Middle Ages. And then back to the quote. After winning the Battle of Hastings in October of 1066, William, Duke of Normandy, was crowned King of England in a newly completed Westminster Abbey on Christmas Day, 1066.
Dang.
William built the Tower of London, the first of many such in England, rebuilt in stone in the southeastern corner of the city to intimidate the inhabitants of London.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm the king. I can do this. Don't fuck with me.
Everybody has to speak French now. Deal with it.
It's my way of the highway. Henry Higgins.
In 1097, William II began building Westminster Hall, close by the abbey of the same name, and that became the basis of the new Palace of Westminster. So these buildings are so fucking old.
Yeah.
It's
I've
wild.
never been to London. I want to go so badly.
London
It's cool.
is bizarre because it looks like you're at Epcot. Like
Right.
it doesn't like I feel like the rest of Europe you realize okay, you're in like an old European city, but it's still a real place. It's still a city. London feels like you have been transported onto a movie set of London.
Oh,
Yeah.
weird.
It's
I kind of
really
felt that
cool.
way about Amsterdam too, though. Like it's so old that it's like unfathomable.
Yeah.
But God, it's gorgeous.
And also
But, yeah.
like everything is triple the price that you expected. To
Oh,
be.
sure. Yeah. Which is very much like Epcot.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But everything's like updated and like well maintained. It's still like a very bustling, populous
Sure.
city with
Yeah.
like cute little like alleyways and like manicured shrubs and shit.
Well, we have to do a London live show
We
so that
really
we can
do,
go
actually.
on the
we have the
company dime.
audience for it.
Yes,
Sure.
I want to.
Let's do it.
So London was founded by the Romans as Londinium and retains boundaries. So again, London
That sounds like an
proper
element.
Londinium.
Aluminium.
Mm-hmm.
Londinium.
So London, Londinium, very small. Greater London, very big. But we're talking about the tiny London.
Right.
Founded by the Romans as Londinium and retains boundaries close to its medieval ones. Since the 19th century, London has also referred to the metropolis around its core, historically split between the counties of Middlesex, Essex, Surrey, Kent, and Hertfordshire,
Oh.
which largely comprises Greater London, governed by the Greater London Authority. The city of Westminster, to the west of the city of London, has for centuries held the national government and parliament.
Okay.
So if that just helps you kind of wrap your head around what the fuck is going on.
Sure.
So I wanted to just find like my typical like list of fun facts about a place. But London is so old and it's just been such a busy city for so long that there are so many bizarro facts. So I don't think I really have any padding in here. Every
Okay.
single thing is
Just
weird.
bizarre. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could have said even more.
So buckle up. Here we go. The London Tube has a lost property department of shit that people have left behind, and it includes a samurai sword, a stuffed puffer fish, a human skull.
We have those.
A human skull, and a coffin.
Lock.
Love it.
Why do you leave a coffin on the subway?
Yeah.
Why? It's probably really heavy and you didn't feel like carrying her anymore.
It's easy to get downstairs, not so easy to get upstairs.
Precisely.
Zach forgot an entire chair on the metro in Hong Kong.
That sounds about right.
Yep.
What?
That sounds about Zach.
Yep. I had gifted him a ornately carved chair from India, and I lugged that thing with me from India to Thailand where we met up, and then he
Oh
lugged
my
it from
God.
Thailand back to Hong Kong, and then he was trying to go to mainland China, and he was hungover and forgot it on the Hong Kong
I bet you were
metro.
fucking pissed.
I was pissed.
I'm going to offer a possibility that he did not forget it and maybe he was just sick of lugging it around
Well, maybe
Asia.
Maybe.
he
and forgot it, quote unquote, on
he
the
got
metro.
in big trouble. I'm still mad.
I'm still mad.
When we were living in China, the only places to buy tampons were in really big city centers.
Yep.
So we had to go to Hong Kong to buy tampons and
Birth control.
birth control. And I remember you got a big bag full of tampons and birth control, and you left it on the train too.
I
it.
left it in the taxi and then I sobbed
yeah, that was
All
a
night.
bad day.
because I got like 9 months worth of like Yaz
Yeah.
contraception
Yeah, Yasmin.
and tampons, and it was expensive because we had no money.
Yeah.
And then I forgot it in the taxi and was really upset.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It's fine. He pulled out.
Oh my God. Oh.
There are other methods.
Okay.
And that is why China has such an exploding population. You can only buy birth control in Hong Kong.
Like
My God.
there must be birth control in China, but like we as foreigners didn't
not
know how to
access
access it.
Yeah.
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 Or actually, I don't think that many
nuts.
people were on the pill. I think it was mostly condoms.
I had to buy birth control at a legitimate sex shop. Like it was next to the lingerie. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say laundromat. I was like, cool.
Ew. Fucking weird. Well, that wouldn't happen in London.
Yeah.
You used to be able to pay for entry to the London Zoo with an animal. You'd pay with an
What?
animal, specifically a dog or a cat. And
Oh,
that was
no.
so they could feed the lions.
That's like, that's a little messed up. That's like the monkey bar in Amsterdam that used to be an inn where sailors could
Pay with a
pay
monkey?
to stay the night by bringing in a monkey. And then they were like, we can't take any more monkeys. This whole place is overrun with fleas.
Oh, my
And so they
God.
ended that practice in like the year 500 or something completely unfathomable. But it's like the oldest wooden structure in Amsterdam and it's the coolest fucking bar ever. Highly recommend.
Oh,
my
monkey
God.
bar.
So cool. Yeah.
Did you know that feeding pigeons in Trafalgar Square has been banned since 2003? Probably because there are so many fucking pigeons
Too
around
many.
there.
That should be banned in New York too. Is it not?
I don't think anyone feeds pigeons in New York. I think
There's just a lot of litter.
I've
The
never-
hell they don't.
I've never
Old
seen
people
anyone
in the park.
actively feed pigeons. I've seen
the lady in
people
Home
drop a lot of
Alone.
shit.
Yeah, there's a whole pigeon lady.
Yeah.
She's
Sound like
made of
Feed
pigeons.
the birds.
She's just
Coffins the birds.
She's just 80 pigeons in a trench
In
coat.
a trench coat. Ish.
Harrods sold cocaine up until 1916. You could buy a whole gift kit that was sold by the prestigious department store that included morphine, cocaine, and syringes for shooting it all up with.
Nice.
Love
One-stop shop.
Mm-hmm. London has a reputation for being rainy, but it actually gets less average rainfall than Rome, Istanbul, Barcelona, Sydney,
Barcelona.
Miami, and New York City.
Okay.
I think it just drizzles all the time, but it never like pours.
Yeah, maybe it's cloudy.
Yeah.
Well,
So you're
that
just
whole
always damp.
that whole upper Atlantic region, I mean like Ireland and all the
She's a wet one. She's a wettin'.
well, not that wet, but at least cloudy.
And when I lived on that pig farm in Normandy, it rained.
Your hometown.
My hometown.
Your
It
hometown.
rained. It drizzled every single day for like 7 months. And
I couldn't do it.
really thought I was going to lose my mind.
Like the last couple months here have been so much cloudier than they typically are. Like in Minnesota, we're used to getting an April snowstorm. It happens every year, an April cold snap, but it's usually brief and surrounded by
Nice
like
days.
fake spring, as we call it. But we've just had cold, dreary weather. I can count on one hand how many times the sun has shined since like March. Like it's
Sucks.
nuts.
So sad.
It's not great. It's really not great.
You need a sad lamp.
I know. I think I'm gonna get one for real.
I have one. I just
Yeah.
have it on my vanity. So like every day when I'm, well, if it's a day where I put on makeup, I just
Right.
turn it on.
Yeah.
London is built above a huge system of over 20 subterranean rivers that all make up the tributaries of the Thames.
Creepy.
So actually, one of the other fun facts that I didn't include in here was that when they were first building the underground, they had proposed making it like water powered. So they'd be like underground, like barges, basically.
That would have been clever and
Cool.
terrifying, but cool.
Yeah. It was a very like early 20th century like brainstorm
like-
session.
Like subway canals.
Yeah. Imagine
That's
how
kinda cool.
fucking filthy those would get.
Filthy.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That would be nasty.
Yeah. So here's back to London being tiny little baby with the big greater London. Technically, London has a population of only 9,123 people,
Really?
making it the smallest city in England.
Huh.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because it's really just a bunch of other technically cities crammed together.
It's kind of like Houston. They just keep annexing things.
Oh, Houston's a mess.
Houston is wild. It's
it
the Wild
together.
West.
It's the Wild South.
It has 2 downtowns. It's too big.
I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't like it. In 2019, London had the second highest number of ultra high net worth individuals in Europe, only after Paris, and the second highest number of billionaires in Europe after Moscow. And as
So
of
the Richies of the UK live in London.
absolutely
Of the world.
As of 2021, London has the most millionaires of any city. Lots of rich people, which makes sense because it is a very expensive city.
Sure.
Bedlam Asylum, which we've talked about before, used to be one of the city's most visited attractions because up until 1770, people would flock to the asylum to watch and even taunt the people who were locked up in there.
That's a little much.
The idea being that the entrance fee would help to fund the hospital. So they made it into like a fucking zoo, basically.
Yeah, like a freak show.
So that's bad enough, but maybe even more unfortunately, once the public stopped being allowed to visit, the staff abused the patients so horrifically because they wouldn't get caught because no one was watching anymore.
Yeah.
Not to
Although
say
I'm
that,
sure
like,
they did before, but now they
Well-
could just do it with complete impunity.
Right.
and not to say that's like, okay, either people are gawked at or the staff abuses them, but
Right.
like,
It's definitely
That-
both.
That's what happened.
yeah. So this is a little fact, especially for Kenyan. The city officially went through a period called the gin craze between 1720 and 1751.
Love. Okay.
During the peak
Mother
of
Geneva.
during the peak of this craze, the average consumption of gin was 2 pints per week by every person in the city, and that included children. Every person in the
It's
city.
your medicine.
Gin.
Take your medicine.
Gin. 2 pints of gin per week on average.
And then they
People were
put the
just-
child in bed with a warm woman.
Passed the fuck
Tickle the
out
throat.
like in the street.
Tickle the throat with
Yeah.
a feather.
It
That's
was
one of my favorite cases.
wild.
So good. Yeah, there's ghosts in your blood. Do cocaine about it. I mean, I can't believe
about it.
I can't believe human civilization has even evolved to like the iPhone. I
Just can't believe
it.
that anyone survived
That's what I'm saying.
that time period. Can you imagine even just one time
I'd
in your
be dead.
life
I'd
drinking
be dead.
2 pints of gin in a week?
No,
I
absolutely not.
no. You could not pay me.
That's a lot of gin.
It's too much, and I love gin.
Two
but I
of
would
these.
die.
My pint glass.
Of pure gin.
Did they even have tonic?
No, they
Probably
just
not.
drank it straight.
Ugh,
I don't
that's
think they had like
disgusting.
carbonation. Well, yeah, they did because beer is a really ancient thing, but still.
And
But
people were
still.
just making this shit like
Right.
in their homes, walking around with carts, selling it by like the
Yeah.
thimbleful up to like gallon.
It wasn't like a mixer thing. It was just like a sipper. You just drank gin. Ugh,
People
God.
were fucked up.
Wild.
Yeah.
I miss it, even though I never lived it, but I miss it.
How did the Industrial Revolution ever fucking happen?
That's what I'm saying. It's
I read a
actually
great
a miracle.
book about the history of gin, just called Gin.
Great.
Highly
Love it.
recommend.
Of course you did. I knew you'd like that fact.
Yeah.
Okay, London has a very diverse culture and it encompasses over 300 languages. People from all
Cool.
over the world go to London.
Yeah.
Not to mention the accents.
Oh, God, yeah. I don't even think those
Boy.
count. Oh, I love this one. There is a subspecies of mosquito that has evolved specific habits suited to its life in the London underground.
Ugh.
It can
Oh,
live in
God.
dark places for long periods of time. It doesn't have to hibernate. It is a particularly greedy biter and it doesn't need water to lay its eggs.
I don't
The
like
fuck?
that. I do not
Are
like
we
that one
working
bit.
on a vaccine? Like
It's like mole people, but worse.
Yeah, mole
Mosquito
mosquitoes.
people.
mole bugs.
Ew, mosquito people, gross.
No.
No.
I'm
Imagine,
triggered.
that means imagine what's in the fucking New York subway system.
Stop.
Yeah,
no.
honey. Yeah.
No. No.
Well, New York is a lot younger than London.
Now we have to deal with rats, masturbators, and scary mosquitoes. I'm not going back to New York.
And
I'm done.
trash fires and crazy people who shove people onto the tracks.
I'm done. We're good.
Mm-hmm.
We're canceling any upcoming New York shows that we don't even have.
What was
We're
that?
not doing it.
What
Don't
was
get
that?
excited. We don't have any plans.
Yeah, we don't have any.
What was that yak headline about the guys who got in a fight about what a
Over
mosquito
what
looks
a
like?
mosquito looks like. Yeah, someone like stabbed his
So
roommate.
maybe they were both right. Maybe one of them was describing the London,
London
underground mosquito.
The subspecies.
I don't think it got that deep.
Actually,
The subspecies genus Mosquitinus of London.
Mosquitodinium.
You kind of sounded like a mosquito when you said, actually.
I look like this.
I can go for long periods without sunlight.
I don't even need water. I'm a greedy biter.
I grow my own reproductive organs.
Okay. All right. Everyone has turned this off, and rightfully so.
You know what? Yeah, that's fair.
If this is our last
should.
episode, I'll be okay with that.
I'm fine.
We've had a good run.
We've had a good run. Okay, speaking of the underground, Jerry Springer was born in one of its stations when his mother was taking shelter during the Blitz in the Second World War.
What?
Jerry Springer was born in a subway station in London.
Oh.
I'm so confused.
Okay.
And I thought that was so weird, so I Googled it to verify it's true.
Wow.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Sure. Fun is a
Didn't
word.
realize he was that old. But
I
yeah,
know,
guess
right?
That tracked.
So does he get, is his,
Well,
is his,
the 19
were they,
The Blitz happened in like, what, 1940-ish?
Yeah.
1940, so he's 80-something. That makes sense.
so his parents are Brits? Or were they like vacationing? I'm an idiot. I don't
think-
know.
I don't
I
think
think they-
anyone was vacationing there
during World War II.
the Blitz.
It was just it was tourism season.
But maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they were visiting from somewhere else.
The dollar was way up.
Yeah, the purchasing power
It's
alone
like during
made
COVID,
it worth it.
places that let you travel. It was cheap. A lot of cheap flights to Mexico.
Oh, COVID and World War II might not be on the same.
Yeah.
You know what?
Let's look it up. Maybe they were visiting. I will.
You know
This
what?
could be a
They
perennial
weren't.
situation.
This
They
could
were.
be. Oh, so now you're the Springer family expert. You're the Springer family
I
historian.
Googled it.
Oh.
They were German Jewish refugees.
Well, there you go. So they're not from London.
They were tourists.
They were visiting
They
for
were
a
escaping.
reason.
Yeah.
It was safer during the Blitz.
There you go. We were all right.
Okay,
Kind of.
well, let's go with that.
Moving
All right.
on.
In 1252, Henry III was gifted a huge white bear, which we could presume was a polar bear, by the King of Norway. So even though the bear was held like muzzled and chained, it was allowed to swim and hunt for fish in the Thames.
What?
A polar
They-
bear.
It just
They
hung
didn't
out
just
in the
bring
Thames
it fish. They were
in
like
the city.
there was a polar bear swimming in the Thames
In 1252, yeah.
Luck, living its worst life.
and they kept an eye on it. And oh my god,
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I love polar bears, even though they're really vicious.
They're stunning, and we're killing them. So we should stop doing that.
Yeah. I can't think about polar bears. It makes me sad.
Oh, there's a fly in here.
Are you sure it's not an underground mosquito?
Don't.
I hear they get very big.
That's not cool.
Gonna
what you
bite
just
you.
did.
It's going to suck all your blood out.
It's already laid eggs. It doesn't need water.
Stop. God damn it.
It just needs a small warm cavity like your ear. or
At least your ears are
nostril.
covered. Yeah.
You are.
Better keep your mouth closed for the rest of the episode.
You're bitches. You are bitches, both of you.
You're bitches.
You're
I'm scared.
technically underground right now.
I'm not even technically underground. I am fully underground, and now I'm scared to open my mouth, or this thing is gonna fly in.
You guys are fucking bitches.
These are such fucking bitches. I'm gonna just have to be a ventriloquist for the rest of this case.
You have the dummy.
I do, but it's upstairs. No, it's in my trunk. Trunk of my car. You never know when you're going to get into an accident.
Your mouth
you might
is too
need
big.
A ventriloquist
Your mouth
dummy.
is too big. It's going to fly in.
Your ventriloquist dummy is in the trunk of your car. Of course it is.
Is it in
Yeah.
a trunk in your trunk?
No, he's flying loose.
Oh, aren't they supposed to be kept in a trunk, like a little coffin?
Okay, moving on.
London has more Indian restaurants than Mumbai.
Cool.
Well, yeah, in Mumbai, they're just called restaurants.
True. She has a point.
But there are more.
No,
In London.
It was the opportunity for a dad joke.
It was, yeah.
Really,
it
really
was.
good.
I left
That
it
was really
wide
good. Thank you.
open.
Yeah, that was
Like
really
Amanda's
good.
mouth, wide open.
Stop.
Stop!
It's going to fly in.
Winnie the Pooh was a real bear at the London Zoo.
Cute. So wait, like Winnie the Pooh is based off of this bear?
Correct. A.A. Milne, I guess, apparently that's the author of the Winnie the Pooh
Milne, I
things. Milne. So that person's son, whose name was Christopher Robin, changed his toy bear's name to Winnie the Pooh after seeing this actual bear at the London Zoo. And so was birthed the famous fictional bear,
Aww.
Cute.
Christopher Robin. I think that's
That's
an adorable
sweet.
name.
That is
Not as
adorable.
cute as Rodney Lynn, but
Yeah, Rodney,
Rodney Lynn.
and Christopher Robin.
Ish.
in the 1870s, when the Metropolitan Railway was being built, workers found 1,000 bodies scattered in a mass grave.
Okay.
They think that it was a plague pit, reportedly 40 feet in length and about 16 feet wide, where the bodies were dumped en masse during the Great Plague.
I'm good.
Which makes
Like-
sense because there were a fuckload of bodies to get rid of.
Yeah, like the OG plague, or like wasn't there another London plague in like the 17th century?
The Black Plague is what they're
Yeah.
talking about. That was like the big original one, and then there were like successive little waves.
Yeah,
But the Black Plague was the big guy.
the OG first one. Okay.
It has been illegal to enter the House of Parliaments wearing armor since 1313. They passed a bill. You can't wear armor in there.
Okay.
The
I
author,
can abide by that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Okay. The author of Peter Pan, named J.M. Barrie, had no children, so they left the rights to his famous novel to the Great Ormond Street Hospital.
Okay.
And so, obviously, anytime you want to make a production of Peter Pan or use any of its shit, you have to pay royalties, and those royalties have provided an immense amount of income to the hospital since 1929.
Well,
Interesting.
That's sweet. I like that.
Yeah.
The last execution at the Tower of London happened in 1941.
That's very recent.
Yeah, it was by firing squad, and it was the
Whoa.
execution of German spy Joseph Jacobs, or Josef
All right.
Jacobs. Oh, I love this one. In the year 1814, a vat of beer in the Moe and Company brewery exploded, unleashing a huge tsunami of beer that swept down from the Tottenham Court Road to the surrounding streets. 8 people died in the tsunami of
Wow.
beer, five of whom were attending a wake.
Ooh, bad
If only
timing.
It had been a tsunami of gin. They could have.
Oh.
They could have just.
They would have been fine. They're
It
used
would
to
have
it.
been fine.
Yeah.
They're acclimated.
They're used to it. They're fine.
The city has this goes to Kenyon's comment about this feeling like Epcot. The city has enough trees per square mile that it falls under the UN's definition of a forest.
Okay.
In fact, London has its own official forestry conservator. How cute
It
is
just-
that?
It just.
That
I
is
wasn't
cute.
prepared for how
Pretty.
old timey chocolate boxy it was in real life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
It is. It kind of catches you off guard.
Yeah.
And I feel like every couple of blocks, there's just like something else to be like, are you part of it?
Are you part of it?
Like a cute little farmer's market or like a
Yeah.
miniature alleyway, like lined with
Piccadilly.
rose
Piccadilly
bushes.
Circus.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Then like a red double-decker bus passing.
It's everything
cute.
is a postcard.
The black taxis. Everyone's wearing like a cute hat. It's It's ridiculous.
Really fancy shoes.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Where do they get off?
Where do they get off? Okay, this is a fun one. Albert Gunter was driving a bus over Tower Bridge in 1952 when the bridge started to raise. It all ended well thanks to some quick thinking on Gunter's part. He put his foot down on the gas, sped the bus up, and got it to clear a 10-foot gap before landing on the other side.
Couldn't he
Jesus.
just have put it in reverse?
I think it's...
Maybe they didn't have that.
I think it's too big of a bridge. I don't know. It was 1952, so that might have been
didn't
way
have
more dangerous. Well,
I wasn't listening to the year.
Well, 1952. I don't know what they had and didn't have, but he
aunt
apparently made
had
the
a
right
Reverse
decision.
in the 50s.
My aunt had a car that didn't have reverse.
Yeah,
On
so
purpose or because it broke?
It broke and
Yeah.
she didn't get it fixed. And she just like lived her life in such a way that she never had to put it in reverse.
My
and then my
dad-
grandpa didn't know because she's like not going to tell her dad she's driving their shit
No.
box.
is
Did
that
he
when he
use
drove
the
through the
car?
garage?
And he drove it into the garage. And she was like, "What have you done?"
You broke my car. She gaslit Poppy.
Yeah, and then Poppy was like, it was gonna
I
hail.
parked it.
I parked
It
your
was
car for
not
you."
me.
And she was like, "It can't go in reverse." And he was like, "Hold up, what?"
Excuse. My dad's
This is
car.
Julie.
My dad's car in
course.
college was like an orange Volkswagen Beetle, like an OG, and it was a manual
A
transmission.
cream-colored Volkswagen Beetle.
It was basically the fucking Ted Bundy car.
And it was so funny because like the passenger door wouldn't
It was
open
like broken
from the
inside. It was the weirdest thing.
He
But-
liked to drive around Denver and San Francisco and Seattle.
No, he was
and
in
Florida.
this was in Ithaca, but he didn't have his first gear didn't work, so he would just park it on an incline and then shift into second gear, let it roll, and then like start the car and shift so that he could only start the
God.
car like on an incline,
Oh my
tricking it
God.
into second gear.
Oh my God.
I
Yeah, like
know.
it had to be going like at least 2 miles an hour till it would before it would
Yep.
start. Yeah,
Pretty much.
That's like a
My
thing.
God.
Like it would start and then you'd put it in neutral. And then for you to shift from first gear to second gear, he didn't have his first gear was broken. So he'd have to go from neutral
Had
to
to
second.
floor it.
But you can't be going too slow to shift into second or you're going to like fuck with your transmission. It was like a whole thing.
Oh my God.
That's very on brand for me.
How did our parents survive?
I don't know.
Okay, if the Queen wants to enter the city of London, she has to formally request permission from the mayor via a ceremony held at Temple Bar.
What?
It's a little much.
Like to leave her palace?
Well, she lives in Westminster.
Okay.
London,
Okay.
London is the tiny baby.
Okay, so if she ever went into the city center.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, this is cute. In a city filled with grand monuments and huge statues, it's nice to know that London has an official smallest statue. Located on Philpot Lane, the statue...
Philpot.
I think I've seen this. The statue of two tiny mice eating cheese is dedicated to two builders who fell during the construction of the monument after an argument over a missing sandwich that they blamed on each other, but it was actually the fault of a mouse infestation.
Oh,
So it's a
no.
monument to two people who died who were wrong.
And
That's
they
going to be us.
basically died because of mice.
Tecumseh.
So they made a little mouse statue.
That is so perverse
I know.
and sarcastic.
It's kind of weird,
It
but
is
I love it.
It's the smallest and also the most sarcastic monument.
It's really petty. It's kind of mean.
I
I
love,
it.
I love it.
Here's my last fun fact. Big Ben is arguably London's most famous landmark, but it is the clock tower itself is actually meant to go by the name the Clock Tower, whereas Big Ben is the name of the bell inside the clock tower.
Okay.
So Big Ben is not the structure.
I just learned that yesterday on a random TikTok, actually.
Really?
All right.
Yeah.
How fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, so those are all my weird facts about London because it's a fucking weird place and it really made me want to go back. I've only been there once, but it was really fucking fun.
Well, I guess we'll have to try and make that happen one of these days.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's hear a quick word from our sponsors.
Let's do it. Okay, so I, as you know, live in my Rothy's. I wear them everywhere. And I get the most compliments on these shoes. I have a very extensive shoe collection.
Yes.
But Rothy's are literally perfect for commuting, traveling, just hanging out. And everywhere I go, everyone notices them and asks either, are those Rothy's or where did you get those shoes? I need them.
Like, actually.
Yes.
I think I told this anecdote on a previous episode, but in the last month, I have had 2 different, like, very masculine, men, just traditional, like, men, compliment my shoes.
Yep.
And that doesn't happen that often. And they were both like, oh, you should send me the link. I'm going to tell my wife about it. But also like, and I said they do make men's shoes too.
Absolutely.
But these shoes are so good for traveling. They're so good for just running to the grocery store, but you can also wear them like in a board meeting. They dress up an outfit like nobody's business, and you just feel like you're wearing like slippers. They're so soft, they just immediately mold to your feet. It's ridiculous. They also come in so many different styles, so many different patterns. They're constantly coming out with new colors, like this spring. I mean, I get their emails, so I look at their website probably once a week.
Oh, yeah.
I can't help it because they're so cute. And then in addition to the shoes, they have handbags.
Yup.
Hello. I can't resist.
I know.
Like I said, these are so freaking comfortable. They have no break-in period. They're made out of recycled water bottles, so you also feel like you're saving the planet. And when they get dirty, stinky, you wear them without socks maybe, you just throw them in the washing machine.
Dude, I wore my pink round toe flats a couple years ago to get a tattoo, and tattoo ink got on the flat, and I took them home and popped them in the wash, and they came out good as new.
It's
absolutely a miracle. I thought, oh, well, I ruined these. Like, they're like, you like can't ruin them. Like, they're the perfect shoe.
It's unbelievable. They're kind of like socks in that way. They're so comfortable. You wash them, good as new. It is unbelievable. Like, you got to try them to believe them, really.
So your new favorite shoes are waiting. Discover the versatile styles that you can wear absolutely anywhere and get $20 off your first purchase at rothys.com/gals. That's ROTHYS.com/gals for $20 off your first order, and treat your feet.
Treat them. It's spring, people. It's almost summer. Like, there's a lot going on, lots of activities. You have to focus on, yard work and these social events and, family visiting and Mother's Day and blah, 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 blah. There is so much to pay attention to that, like, your own mental health kind of gets put on the back burner a lot of time. We often forget that your mental health is a big part of showing up for the people that we care about. So May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is the perfect time to find one thing you can do to prioritize your mental well-being and just, write yourself a permission slip to get out there and do it. You have to put your own wellness first. A licensed Talkspace therapist can help you identify what that permission looks like, whether it's setting stronger boundaries. I definitely need that. Letting something go. I think we all need that. Or just gaining the courage to get out there and try something different.
For real. And, working on your mental health can be really hard. Like, everyone I talk to talks about how this past winter, especially in the Midwest, was so thoroughly brutal.
It was brutal.
And my mental health was at an all-time low, and I'm so thankful, honestly, that I had access to a program like Talkspace. It really was helpful to just help me get out of my winter molly grubs and prioritize the things in my life that needed to get done. I struggle with ADHD, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with depression. And there is a therapist for you within the Talkspace family that can really meet you where you're at and help you work through whatever it is that maybe you haven't been prioritizing for a while. And taking that first step toward getting help can be scary. So like I said, no matter where you are in your mental health journey, talking to a therapist does make a huge difference. Like once you make that first step, doors really do start to open. And Talkspace takes some of the pressure off of that first step. I'm always overwhelmed by having to like make an appointment. Then you have to wait forever to get into the appointment. And then the day that the appointment comes, you have to like get out of bed and get into your car and drive. It's a lot.
That's enough to make me not want to do it at all.
Exactly. But this is a much more flexible and convenient way to get high quality care. And plus, there are several payment options to choose from, so you can find something that's going to work with your budget. And once you match with one of their licensed therapists, you can message them anytime through the app. Or you can schedule a live session if you need to talk something through face-to-face. I've done both. I've used like the voice memos. I will text literally in the middle of the night, and then my therapist, Emily, will just get back to me the next day. But then I don't have to think about, oh, what are all the things that I wanted to talk to her about in this upcoming appointment? No, you just put it in the app and it's out there. It's amazing.
It's real time. It's therapy built for us now.
Yep.
So consider this your permission slip to put your mental health first. Match with your dedicated therapist today at Talkspace.com and use the promo code GALS, G-A-L-S, during sign up to get that $100 off your first month. That's $100 off at Talkspace.com, promo code GALS, and treat your brain.
Treat it.
All right, we're going to go in the way back machine.
Yes.
My
We
favorite
got an
machine.
old-timey case because
Yes.
London exists in history.
Does
only.
she?
Well, people lived there since like fucking 1800 BCE. That's too much. I don't
We're not
like
going that far back. Okay.
It's too much.
Fine.
So Jonathan Wild
Oh, okay.
was born in the English city of Wolverhampton
Ooh, love.
in either 1682 or 1683. Exact date unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Which means it's time for some geography.
Sure is.
So Wolverhampton lies due south of Four Ashes and Coven,
Ooh.
Ooh.
east of Boningale.
Yes.
Inform your Aunt Gail.
Yes, will do.
And east of Badger.
Ooh.
And also north of Gospel End, which is what people who promise to be virgins do.
Just give
until
them the
they're
gospel
married.
end.
Give them go in the Gospel End.
Doesn't count if it's in the gospel end.
Exactly.
And Halls Owen, which when written out looks like a dyslexic person was trying to spell Halloween.
Oh, nice.
Oh, no.
Nice.
Oh, Hal's Owen.
It just looks like Halloween, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Super.
Kinda.
Yes.
Okay. So, Jonathan Wild, he's the oldest of 5 children. His father was a carpenter and his mother sold herbs and fruits in the local marketplace.
Cute.
Who didn't?
And yet, somehow, the family struggled to get by financially.
Yeah, how could that be?
After leaving school at the age of 15, Jonathan was apprenticed to a local buckle maker. So he could have had a
Okay.
bright future making buckles.
In buckling, swashbuckling.
But instead, he married young and had a son. And in 1704, when he was like 21 or 22, he decided to leave his buckle master and look for work in London.
His buckle master.
He found a position in London as a servant, but it didn't really work out. He got fired and returned home.
Okay.
In 1708, he decided once again that he would move back to London, try it out again, but this time he did so abandoning his wife and child once and for all.
Oops.
Yeah. Too much baggage.
Yeah.
So, not much is known about how he spent his time for his first couple years back in London, but in 1710, he was arrested and sent to a debtor's prison called Wood Street Compter.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah, helicopter.
Helicopter. Got it. New band name, I call it.
Meryl Streep helicopter.
Helicopter. Leslie Knope Sex Pants.
What?
I don't think a
Watch
debtor's
Parks and
prison
Rec.
would be a great place to be in
Ever?
1710.
Not great.
Yeah, I can see that.
So here, Wilde became popular with the guards and was soon granted a privilege known as the Liberty of the Gate, which meant that he was allowed out at night to aid his gaolers. You know how it's like Gaol, the goal.
I have no idea what that
G-A-O-L.
is, but I can pretend that I am.
Yeah,
It means
this.
jail. So this
Okay.
word means jailers, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But anyway.
Okay.
So he's allowed to go out at night to aid his jailers in arresting other criminals. Basically, they needed like some muscle.
Yeah, they like deputized him for a
Yeah.
hot minute. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he gets to go out at night. It was on one of these evening outings that he met a woman named Mary Milliner, who also sometimes went by Mary Molyneux. Mary was a sex worker who, according to Daniel Defoe, the writer who also like chronicled nonfiction shit in London.
Willem.
Dafoe.
Huge
Yep.
dong.
Yeah.
Massive.
Would later write, she brought him into her own gang, whether of thieves or whores or of both, is not much material.
Okay.
So she knew people
She was well
in
connected.
the seedy underground, and they made a pair. So in 1712, Wilde was released from prison after an act of parliament was passed that meant to ease the punishments on debtors who didn't have the means to repay what they owed. So instead of just like keeping you in prison forever, because how can you work and make money to pay off your debts if you're in prison?
Sure.
They eased up a bit. So then he moves in with Mary, and the two began referring to each other as husband and wife. Doesn't really matter that he's already married. Whatever.
Yeah.
Little bigamy on the side is fine. He began
Just a pinch, a splash.
accompanying Mary Milliner out at night to serve as protection, literally like up her pimp,
Mm-hmm.
and in the process made numerous underworld contacts.
Nice.
Wilde and Milliner began running a con together where she would lead a man to a secluded area, like a John, and then Wilde was there lying in wait, and he would jump the man and rob him of any valuables, which is a con that still works to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's classic.
Don't be so gullible.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they managed to make enough money doing this that they were able to purchase an inn called the King's Head. But don't worry, they're not going to go legit.
Oh, I was worried.
Here, Mary Milliner began working as a madam to other sex workers, and Wilde set up his own illegal enterprise, fencing stolen goods. And we're going to get much more into that.
Okay.
But the relationship between them soon soured, culminating in quite the altercation, during which Wilde cut off Mary's ear.
Ooh.
Jesus.
And this was supposedly as like retribution.
No.
Oh.
And to mark her as like a sex worker. But really, it's a fucking domestic violence incident.
Mm-hmm.
So sometime around 1713, Wilde was approached by a man named Charles Hitchin, who asked him to become one of his thief-taking assistants.
I don't
Okay.
like that title.
Well,
Yep, it's creepy.
we'll get to a greater title for him.
Oh, Lord.
At this time, England didn't have a professional police force.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like,
Volunteers with
it was
guns.
it was like vigilantes who wanted to claim the reward. Like
Yep.
they just put out a reward and like whoever brought the person in. Yeah. So they had these thief takers who were private citizens who worked tracking down criminals, and sometimes they worked in like bands together, and it was their full-time job, even though they only got paid by like reward. So like I said, they did so in order to collect reward money offered by the government for the successful capture of a criminal who would sometimes also be hired by victims of crimes who wanted the perpetrator tracked down. So either the government or people would hire them.
So they were freelance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these two worked together for a time, but eventually they went their separate ways, and Wilde used what he had learned from Hitchin to build his own successful thief-taking operation, but with a twist.
Ooh.
So Hitchin kind of mentored him, and then Wilde went on his own. What Wilde did was cultivate a gang of thieves who would steal valuable items, then stashed them somewhere until the theft was announced by the victim in the newspapers.
Okay.
Wilde would then offer his services as a thief taker, vowing to track down and return the stolen items to their owners in exchange for the reward money, when he knew all along where that shit was because he fucking took it.
I love it. Create the market.
Yeah.
Fill
Double
the market.
agent.
Yeah.
Yep.
Create the problem and
Yep.
the solution.
So this situation allowed Wilde to make
Fraud.
money
Yeah.
while avoiding the risk of increasingly harsh punishments that the government was now enforcing for those caught fencing stolen goods. So like if you stole stuff and then tried to resell it, you would get caught and there were really harsh sentences. So this
Trouble.
was a way to steal stuff and still make money from stealing it, because then you give it back and you get the reward.
Mm-hmm.
Wilde's thieves worked for him in exchange for a cut of the eventual reward money, and he was also able to keep strict control over them because, thanks to his reputation as a reliable thief taker, he could simply turn them in to authorities at any time if
They fuck with him.
if they disobey him. And he's like, I'm a thief taker. The police will believe me. And if I
Yup.
say you're a thief, you're fucking going to jail.
It's a brilliant plan.
It's actually kind of a
It's
foolproof
smart.
plan, and it works for a long time for
Yeah,
him.
I don't see how this could ever go wrong.
So the rumor amongst those who worked for him was that if Wilde came to feel that someone had outlived their usefulness, he
Uh-oh.
would sell them to the gallows, end quote.
Oh,
Okay,
like a
so he
blue
got
horse.
like hungry for power.
Oh, yes, and we will get to it.
Okay.
But he
or
also
he's
is
just
making,
highly efficient.
he's also making money like selling criminals
Right.
to the government for
Yep.
reward money, and it's not small amounts.
Yeah. So he's got to
40
do both so he can make a fuck ton.
Yeah, if anybody annoys him, he's like, okay, well, you're gone.
Yeah,
And I'm making
bye-bye.
money off of you being gone.
Mm-hmm.
So the reward for like catching a big criminal was 40 pounds, which is a shit ton of money in 1710.
Oh, yeah.
That is
yeah,
a lot of money.
So
Time money converter. Do
Time
it.
money converter. Time money converter.
Time out of come out. Oh my God, time out of come out.
So as for Charles Hitchin,
Kenyon's trigger.
Oh my God, time out. Oh, time out of converter.
I need to get a time money converter logo tee.
That and
Done.
newspapers.com.
Done. Looking.
Love them both
Your favorites.
so much. And Lucy needs Encyclopedia Britannica.
I am working
I'd
on
be
getting
too
all of
horny.
these.
I need an Encyclopedia Britannica thong.
Underwear. Lucky underwear. So as for Charles Hitchin, the guy who like taught Wilde how to be a thief taker in the first place, he now held the title of Under-City Marshal of London,
Wow.
which is quite the title.
He ruled with an iron fist.
Undercity.
Under-City Marshal of London, which effectively made him like the public official charged with maintaining order in the city.
Self-appointed governance. Got it.
But
What
he
could
was
go wrong?
Well, he was just as corrupt as Wilde was, and he used the power of his position to force criminals to pay him a fee for protection from arrest, literally just a protection racket. And he extorted businesses by soliciting bribes in exchange for steering thieves away from their businesses. So literally just the mob.
He's got his hands in every honeypot at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's sticky.
He's getting money from both sides in every transaction.
It's brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm jealous that I didn't think of it.
Right. So his corruption was something of an open secret, and he'd already been like suspended once, but then he was reinstated because he probably bribed the right person to get him reinstated.
And he's probably like the best at his job at this point.
well,
'Cause
he
he's
had a
just-
lot of thieves under his control. 'cause
Exactly.
He knew them all.
Yeah.
Yeah. So well aware that his former protege, Wilde, was also playing both sides of the law, Hitchin became to view him as a rival. So in 1718, Hitchin attempted to take Wilde down by publishing a manuscript, because back then you would just self-publish a pamphlet insulting your enemies.
Yeah.
Luck. The good old
instead
days.
of like a Facebook post.
The original
rant.
Facebook wall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A self-published
Fully
pamphlet.
publish.
Yeah. So he fully published a manuscript titled A True Discovery of the Conduct of Receivers and Thief Takers in and About the City of London.
Love it.
They also all
We're
all had
workshopping
really
it.
long titles.
Yeah.
We're workshopping.
We're
it.
workshopping it.
In and
Working
about.
title.
Little
Yeah.
wordy, but we'll
Yeah.
get there.
A touch.
In which he exposed Wilde as both a thief taker and a prodigious thief himself. Wilde, however, replied by publishing a manuscript of his own.
By writing on his wall.
Yeah.
By poking him back.
Titled An Answer to the Late Insolent Libel.
I missed this. This is amazing.
I'm
Can
gonna
we
bring
go
this back.
Yeah.
We want to bring a lot of it back, but we don't want to bring back the next part, which I'm about to get to.
Oh,
Okay.
So here he accused Hitchin of being a homosexual, which was true, and visiting.
whoop.
Right.
Yeah, who cares?
And well, the law back then, and visiting molly houses, which apparently was a slang term for like any place that gay men gathered.
Oh, okay.
They called them molly houses. So this shocking allegation of homosexuality was enough to entirely destroy Hitchin's credibility because there was so much homophobia at the time. And it also like ruined his political influence. Like it was enough to just virtually eliminate him as a
Yeah,
threat.
he got
to
canceled,
Wilde.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I want to bring back the pamphlets, not the
I know.
homophobia.
I know, I just needed a transition sentence.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. So Wilde also just didn't destroy Hitchin's career. Hitchin would eventually be arrested for sodomy and then pilloried. And then he died
Oh.
soon thereafter, likely from like injuries that he suffered during that ordeal because people like fucked with him while he was in the pillory. It's not good.
The pillory
No.
meaning this thing.
I think it's the same as the stocks.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
not good.
It's
I'll
not
look at
good.
Pillory.
There's a
wooden
fo-
framework. Yeah, it's the stocks.
Yeah. I think a pillory, maybe the only difference is like the head is also in it. Sometimes it's just the arms.
Okay.
This said for the head and the
Yeah.
wrists.
So it wasn't great. And Hitchin died.
Dang.
So Wilde is very ruthless. In 1720, Wilde was so well known as an effective thief taker that London's Privy Council consulted him on ways to better control crime in the city. He was like a consultant, and they were like, "What's your advice? How can we crack down on crime?" He's like, "Well, I'm creating half the crime."
Hire me and I'll take care of it.
So his recommendation was that the government raise the rewards for turning in criminals,
Yep.
incentivizing the population to help get bad actors off the streets. And the council took his advice, and the reward for capturing a thief went from £40 to £140.
Whoa, that's a big
Dang.
jump.
Huge jump. And
Damn.
that was like a massive pay raise
Yeah.
for him.
He just gave himself a raise.
Shitload of money.
a huge raise.
I am obsessed with this entrepreneur.
And they probably paid him for his time consulting.
£100 an hour consulting fee.
Yeah, a per diem.
Get it, honey?
yeah.
So
You're a
around
bad person.
Yeah. Around this time, Wilde also began referring to himself as Thief Taker General of Great
Okay.
Britain and Ireland.
Okay. This
So
is
he's-
very like Pam Beasley creating her own job as office manager at Dunder Mifflin.
Yeah.
No, I want you to say it. Tell me I'm lying. Gabe is like, I won't do that.
So he's known as Jonathan Wilde, Thief Taker General.
Wow. Postmaster Thief Taker General.
And he was given an office in the Old Bailey jail.
Stop.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And he's still doing all his shit. Like he's still
Well, yeah.
planning the thefts. Anyway.
It's
In
so
addition
good.
to his thief-taking schemes, Wilde also regularly engaged in blackmailing, which he did largely through coded messages published in newspaper advertisements.
I have some of that in my case.
Oh, yeah?
Well, not at. God, the fly! The
3
mosquito.
flies, 5 flies.
3 flies, 5 flies. Personal ads, kinda.
Okay.
We'll get to it.
So, a well-known example of one of these blackmail ads reads, quote, "Lost the 1st of October, a black shagreen pocketbook edged with silver with some notes of hand. The said book was lost in the Strand near Fountain Tavern about 7 or 8 o'clock at night. If any person will bring aforementioned book to Mr. Jonathan Wild in the Old Bailey, he shall have a guinea reward."
So he's just planning a meeting.
Well,
A clandestine meeting.
I'll break it down for you.
Okay.
Because actually, everything about the blackmail is in that ad.
Okay.
So, although this seemed like an innocuous message about a lost possession, the owner of the pocketbook would have understood its underlying meaning and implications. So, the Fountain Tavern was a brothel. The book likely belonged to someone socially prominent enough to so
Had
that
their reputation fucked up if they were known to have been there.
and it was like lost at night outside of this brothel. So the
Yep.
night was specified. Here, Wilde is advertising that he's already in possession of the book and that it contains proof of the owner's identity because he says notes of hand. So it's like it's got your handwriting.
Okay.
And the guinea reward is actually a reference to the money that the book's owner has to pay Wilde in exchange for the item's return so that Wilde doesn't publicize all
and
the shit.
Yeah, to keep him quiet.
Isn't
That's
that funny?
clev. Yeah.
So he really did find this item.
Found or stole, like probably one of his little pickpockets grabbed it
One
from
of his little
somebody
birds.
leaving the brothel.
Very
Got
Game
it.
of Thrones.
I love.
Isn't that interesting?
It's clev. I like it.
it.
It's very, what is it? Was it Santorum tapping his foot under the bathroom stall? Who was that? I don't know. It's just like very like,
One of the Republican dudes.
Yeah.
It wasn't Rick Santorum because his whole thing was that Santorum means like fecal matter or whatever the fuck.
Like the foamy afterbirth of
Bull.
anal sex, I think.
Yeah. There we go. There
Yeah.
we go. I knew she'd pull through.
Yeah.
either way.
Steel trap.
I never forget a foamy afterbirth.
After shit.
Ish.
Okay, but after a decade of successfully playing both sides of the law and raking in the cash, things began to fall apart for Jonathan Wilde.
They always do. You get too cocky and too greedy, and then you fucking show your hand.
Yep. So this was largely the result of his own hubris and increasing obsession with targeting and eliminating rivals because he'd had such success of getting rid of rivals in the past. Now he went a little too hard.
Killed them all, of course.
Of course.
So two of his most prominent rivals were a highwayman named Joseph Blake, who also went by the nickname Blueskin.
Ew.
What?
I don't like
There-
that.
There's been like a Bluebeard, the pirate, right? And then
Yeah.
I think like the ancient like Pictish warriors used to paint themselves blue.
Yeah.
So there might have been a connection. I don't know. Maybe he just was oxygen deprived. I don't know.
Maybe he drank silver.
Yeah, maybe he drank too much colloidal silver.
Colloidal
and-
silver.
Maybe he loved Avatar.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
great film.
cosplay.
So this Blueskin and a housebreaker named Jack Shepherd, and there are portraits of Jack Shepherd on the drive, and he looks like an 11-year-old child.
Oh
He
my
looks
God.
just tiny.
Oh,
Why is
he's
he
just
so
a
small?
babe.
I don't know why he has such a tiny head.
He's a little babe. His little tiny pointing finger.
Yeah.
It's like a chubby baby hand.
I don't know
like
how
a
old he
little-
was.
I love him.
He was 7, clearly.
What a babe.
Well, he was a housebreaker. So both of them had worked with Wilde in the past before striking out on their own to found like extremely successful careers in thievery.
I'm sorry. Just to go back to your photos on the drive, your picture of Jonathan Wilde is wild.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not a cute man.
Face is melting off.
His
Yeah.
face has an odd structure to it.
Yeah.
And it's like
not good.
corroborated. There's a couple of pictures.
And they
like
all
that.
look the same and they all look askance.
Is that like a cane or like a weapon?
I think it's
that
like
he's
a
holding?
baton. Like a
Yeah. It looks like a flute without holes. He
He's-
looks like he's about to play a tune.
He's been microwaved.
Yeah.
He's melted.
He kind of looks like fucked up Tupperware.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
He does.
Hand
Poor
wash
guy.
only.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah,
I told you.
This is what will happen to your fucking patriarchy flexible wine glass
If you put it in the dishwasher.
It'll come out looking like Jonathan Wild.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Super well.
Oh no.
Absolutely, yes.
Well, we use him as a vase now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wilde became obsessed with getting his former associates behind bars, probably because like they were just doing the exact same thing that he had done. They
Yeah.
like learned what they could from him and then they struck out on their own, which is exactly what he did with Hitchin.
Yeah. They're breaking into his market. He doesn't
Yeah.
like it.
So after numerous failed attempts, including multiple prison breaks, both men were sentenced to death. Blueskin became so enraged at his trial about Wilde's hypocrisy and double crossing that he lunged at him and slashed his throat with a pocket knife.
Just like out in public.
Yeah, because he was already sentenced to death. What did he have to lose?
Oh my God.
There wasn't like an appeal system. You were sentenced to death and then like you were fucking killed.
Hung like that night.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
my
they
God.
wasted no time.
So he lunged at him and cut his
Holy
trial.
shit.
God.
So Wilde survived, but he needed surgery and like a very long recuperation period. And during the time that he spent healing, both Blueskin and Shepard were executed. So like he got what he wanted, but he was recuperating for so long that he lost control of his criminal gang because there was like a power vacuum.
Yup. He's out of the business, basically.
And then because of that, public sentiment turned against him.
Okay.
So it had become clear that his dedication to eliminating the two men was a personal grievance and that this thief-taker general was extremely enmeshed with the thieves that he was claiming to be protecting the city from. And actually, he was like in on everything.
He flew too close to the sun.
So the final straw for Wilde came soon after the two executions when he decided to orchestrate a violent riot to provide cover for a jailbreak of one of his gang of thieves who had been arrested.
Okay. I wonder how this went.
I mean, that's bold.
Yeah, that's a roll bolt.
So it's rumored that he did this because he feared the man would like provide evidence against him. And so he wanted to help him get out of jail
Sure.
because he wasn't just doing it out of like the kindness of his heart.
No, of course not.
He was arrested for his role in the riot plot and held at Newgate Prison. And with their leader now behind bars, exactly what Wilde had feared came to pass. So his formerly loyal gang of thieves began coming forward to provide evidence against him in order to like save their own skins, and also because like they'd had it with him and they're
over it.
Yeah, they wanted somebody else in charge. And soon all the ins and outs of his criminal enterprise became known to the public.
And they're probably pissed.
Yeah. Because they'd paid him money.
Uh-huh.
And then now they're finding out that he fucking stole the shit in the first place.
Yup.
And all the people that he'd blackmailed and who couldn't say anything over the years, and now they can actually like direct some ire against him
Was he
without
just
taking
fucking-
heat.
Was he just like straight up murdered before he even stood trial? Like so many people must have been pissed off at him.
A lot of people were pissed off at him.
Yeah.
So he was charged with a vast array of crimes, including receiving stolen goods and having men arrested on false evidence. He was found guilty and he was sentenced to death.
Okay.
The night before his scheduled hanging,
Here we go.
he attempted suicide by overdosing on laudanum.
Okay, not what I was expecting. I was expecting an angry mob.
Well, but he succeeded only in making himself extremely ill, not in
no.
actually dying. So he was still in this state the next morning, which was made worse by the fact that they had something called last drinks,
Okay.
where like your jailers drag the prisoner around to different pubs on the way to the gallows.
What?
To get the prisoner drunk?
Yeah.
One last bar crawl.
Yeah. Last bar crawl.
Kind of like that.
I don't hate it.
I'd never heard of it before.
I've never heard of that either.
neither.
But if I'm gonna go to the gallows, I'd way rather do a pub crawl first, be
Right.
drunk.
But he was like already so fucked up from the laudanum
Yeah,
that
this would be a nightmare.
yeah.
Totally. Oh
can't.
my God.
This would be like Kenyon after New Orleans Crime Con
This
level
was
nightmare.
me the morning of the last day at Crime Con.
Oh,
I was
honey.
this man.
I have never seen you in a state like that.
You were
It was
you
rough.
missed you it was a tie with Dallas.
Houston or Dallas, yeah.
Yeah.
And I cared for you in New Orleans, and then Lucy cared for you in Dallas.
Correct.
So we all did our time.
Yep.
fine.
We
we
love
take
you.
turns.
It's fine.
Kenyon's not good at being hungover.
No.
No.
You're really good at being drunk at karaoke and like
Yeah.
staying out and staying like in the party.
I'm a happy drunk.
So fun, so happy, so high energy when you're
Yeah.
drunk, and the next day it's so bad.
After Kyle's wedding.
Ugh.
Oh my God.
Driving back with the window open because you could
We're
not be
we're on
closed
the
in.
freeway, and you insisted on keeping the window open, and it was doing that thing on my ears. It's like whoa, 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 whoa,
Yes.
whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yep.
I was
And it
like-
was what month was it? It was cold.
It was September. It was late September.
Oh yeah,
And-
it was.
We stopped at McDonald's and I got one plain hamburger
Hamburger.
that I just nibbled on for 3 hours. I would take a tiny bite and then go,
It was a long drive. It was kind of a long drive.
I can hear it and picture it so perfectly. I wasn't even there, and I can picture it
I really
so perfectly.
don't do well being hungover.
I was
No.
very patient with you.
Kenyon
that
does
day.
not like discomfort.
I don't like to be mildly discomfited.
Also,
No.
you wouldn't let us listen to music or a podcast. So we were just driving in silence with you,
Silence.
just like
No, it'll make me throw up. I can't.
with the
I will
window
throw up.
down. It was like, oh my God.
Poor Lucy. Oh my
You were
God.
extreme. I've never seen you that patient or maternal.
When it comes to you with your hangover, I feel like I'm very
You're-
patient and
you
maternal.
really are.
You really are. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's like my one time I'm patient or maternal.
Right.
Okay. So Jonathan Wilde needed you.
Yeah.
But what he got was the journalist Daniel Defoe, who was covering the trial and execution and wrote that it was the largest crowd ever assembled for a hanging in London's history,
Wow.
which is
Oh.
a completely subjective statement, but it's fine.
Folks showed up.
The hangman was a friend of Wilde's and
Awkward.
attempted to delay the proceedings to give Wilde time to like compose himself and
Aw.
not like vomit everywhere. But the
As
crowd,
he's being hung, he just is like projectile.
can you imagine anything worse?
that? No,
And being executed with a hangover? No.
I can't.
No. But the crowd turned riotous, and so Wilde was hanged. And some sources say that his condition at the time was drunken and vomiting, while others state that he had fallen into a coma.
One can only hope. Like before a brutal execution like that,
He was
you'd hope
fucking
to
out
be
of
in a
it.
coma. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that night, according to his final wishes, Wilde's body was buried in secret in a churchyard next to that of a woman named Elizabeth Mann, who was one of his former lovers and who he sometimes referred to as his third wife.
Aww.
Cute.
But this burial was not permanent because he was later exhumed as part of an ongoing project of the Royal College of Surgeons.
Interesting. So
Because-
they cut him up.
Yeah, dead bodies are fucking valuable and they could only cut up the criminals. So they wanted to dissect him. And then his skeletal remains are still on public display in that college's museum. And there
gotta
are
go.
photos on the drive.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's a photo and then there are sketches.
Oh my God, it's hanging. It's hanging.
It's suspended, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't a good look.
Wow. He's tall.
Cool.
Yeah.
Look at his dainty feet.
He's hot.
Great skeleton.
So Wilde would
Excellent
live on
specimen.
as the inspiration for numerous literary characters, both criminal masterminds and corrupt public officials. He's referenced in one of Sherlock Holmes's books as an inspiration for the villain Moriarty.
Oh, no
Oh,
way. Cool.
okay.
Quote,
How very London of you.
Quote, everything comes in circles, even Professor Moriarty. Jonathan Wild was the hidden force of the London criminals to whom he sold his brains and his organization on a 15% commission. The old wheel turns and the same spoke comes up.
Wow.
Ew.
Yikes. Ish.
Creepy.
And that is
Love.
Jonathan Wild, Thief Taker General.
Nicely
Nice.
done.
Thank you.
God
I
bless
like
him and
that
his
case.
melted face.
He just had so many tricks up his sleeve.
He really
That was
did.
a good one. That was a good one.
The blackmailing in the public eye was really
Yeah.
Brilliant.
crafty. I love it. I love
Well
it.
done. Well, should we take a quick break and then get to my case?
Yes.
All right, let's do it.
Your hair, my hair, everyone's hair is completely unique, and you can't just get any product off the shelf that will address your hair's specific needs.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where Function of Beauty really comes through for us.
Listen, I am no stranger to needing customizable hair care.
Your hair is
Everywhere
insane.
screaming infidelities. There is so much going on with my hair. I have color treated hair, I have thin hair, I have fine hair.
You have
I have
not your hair.
extensions. Yeah, I have someone else's hair. It's just there's a lot going on. And Function of Beauty is the world's first fully customizable hair care that creates individually filled shampoos, conditioners, styling, and treatment formulas based on your hair now and where you want it to go. It's founded by a dream team of engineers and cosmetic scientists, and each Function of Beauty product is individually designed to be as unique as you are. So, frankly, anything that you're going for, if you need some, like my hair's dry, so I need to really be careful about moisturizing, especially now that I have extensions, which are not obviously attached to the root. They don't absorb the same oil, like natural oil from your scalp, so they can get dry really, really easily. So, having a very good, solid formula that's going to moisturize my hair is really important. And I also want to preserve the color. I also want to help, with some volume. My hair's very thin. And Function of Beauty offers over 54 trillion possible formations.
That is wild.
It just doesn't make any, I can't even fathom that. So if you're like, oh, they won't have what I need. Yes, they will. Every one of them is vegan and cruelty-free, and they never use sulfates or parabens. You can also go completely silicone-free, and it's the easiest thing in the world. Here's how it works. First, you take the quick hair quiz to build your hair profile and select 5 hair goals like lengthening, volumizing, oil control, moisture. And, our hair changes with the season. So maybe you get a little frizzy in the winter, but then you're oily in the summer because of that heat. Function formulations are meant to be changed when your needs change. Then you choose the color and the fragrance of your product, or you can go totally dye and fragrance free if you have sensitive scalp. This is a great way to go. And then you get your freshly filled formula delivered to your door. And all you got to do then is prepare for great hair days ahead.
Oh, they are ahead. So say goodbye to generic hair care for good today. Go to functionofbeauty.com/gals, GALS, to take your hair goals quiz, and you will save 25% on your first order. Again, go to functionofbeauty.com/gals to let them know you heard about it from our show and to get 25% off your first order. One more time, that's functionofbeauty.com/gals to take your hair quiz and save 25% on your first order and treat your locks.
Treat them. So, I love a loose connection to the episode topic.
It's a broad topic.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I found a way to loosen it.
Okay.
This definitely falls under that category, but I had to cover this fucking maniac.
Okay.
So just bear with me. Also, this is some Kenyan shit. This is some dark shit. This dude is an absolute monster. But
We
the second,
swapped.
yeah, we've swapped. The second he crossed my search, I was like, game over. I want to cover this. So made it fit. So Michael Sams was a disturbed man with a history of criminal mischief in the UK. Born on August 11th,
No!
He's Leo.
1941. He's Kenyan's birthday twin.
Oh,
Sorry.
no. Okay.
In Keighley, West Riding of Yorkshire, little is known about his upbringing. At 20 years old, he joined the Merchant Navy, but only served for 3 years before returning home and working as basically an HVAC guy, but they didn't call it that. He eventually started his own business and would install heating and cooling systems in people's homes. He did a brief stint in prison in 1976 for stealing a car and making a false insurance claim. And while he was behind bars, discovered that he had a cancerous mass in his leg that led to amputation.
Oh, okay.
The whole leg was amputated?
I believe so.
Or a big
I
part
believe
of
so.
it.
Yeah.
Wow.
With a prison record under his belt and now a physical disability, returning to the HVAC trade after he was released was not a viable option for him. So he went into the power tools business, first working for Black & Decker and then going out on his own once again as a salesman. Michael had 2 sons with his first wife, who divorced him before he went to prison in the 70s. He remarried after his release, but this marriage also dissolved, so he married a 3rd time, and for a while that one stuck. 3rd time's a charm, I guess.
Lots
Yeah,
of third
'cause
wives this
The
episode.
bar is set so low
I
that
can't. It's
Yeah.
so annoying. You
It's
got
fine.
3 wives, and I've had none.
No
So as a-
wives. You've had no wives.
I've had 0
none.
wives.
Not a wife to be found.
Not a 1. So as it turns out, power tool sales wasn't super lucrative for him, and he wanted to make some big money and wanted to make it quickly. So in 1991, at the age of 49, he devised a plan to get rich by kidnapping someone for ransom, which makes sense. Classic.
Works every time.
You're
Works
a
every time.
one-legged man.
I mean,
It might be easier to track down.
well,
The single shoe print.
my God, why?
I mean, it's a little identifiable, no?
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay.
But
No.
the leg does not come into play
Okay.
at all with the crime. It'll come into play later,
Okay.
but not with this part.
Okay.
Excuse me, I swallowed the fly. But he took it to a super, super dark place. He built a lair in an old workshop that he used by the River Trent in Newark, Nottinghamshire, to hold his hostage. But he had never kidnapped anyone before, so he wanted to test out his plan on someone that he deemed less valuable and less likely to be missed before selecting a valuable target for
For
whom a
ransom.
higher ransom would be paid.
He wanted to practice on a nobody
Pretty much.
in his mind.
Mm-hmm. So inspired by the stories of London's Jack the Ripper, there's my connection, deal with it. That's it.
This isn't even in London?
No, it's in the UK, but it's not in London. But he
It's
was
in
inspired.
Nottinghamshire.
I found him because
where the
I was
fuck that
looking.
is.
I
At
was
Jack the
looking
Ripper
for.
shit.
Yeah,
Oh.
I was looking for a case that was like a Jack the Ripper copycat. I wanted to find someone else in London that had revered Jack the Ripper. And so I found this guy, but he doesn't live in London. But he was inspired by Jack the Ripper.
It
so I
counts.
fucked it.
Well,
I'm
it
just
counts.
keeping
Totally
it.
counts.
Yeah,
You've
I'm just
had
keeping
a
it.
lot more tenuous connections. before.
I honestly really have. This is not even quite as loose as I've gotten before. So he's an hour north of London. It's fine.
He's a
So
commuter.
anyway, Michael made his way to the red light district with the intention of abducting a sex worker. On his prowling mission, he encountered 18-year-old Julie Dart and lured her into his car, threatening her with a knife that he was carrying if she struggled or screamed.
Poor baby.
I know. He took her to his lair in Newark, removed her clothes, tied her to a chair, and left her for the night.
Can you imagine anything more terrifying?
Than being tied to a chair in a lair in Newark.
No.
The only thing worse would be Newark, New Jersey.
Right.
In
Right.
Newark?
Newark. The
Oh.
following day, he forced her to write a letter to her fiance asking for £140,000 to be paid for her release.
She's like, dude, I'm selling sex on the street. Do you think I have access to 140,000 pounds?
Fucking pretty much.
Like, I'm
Yeah.
engaging in survival sex work.
Mhm.
Bruh.
In the 90s. Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So he left with the letter, dropped it in a post box, and went home. The lair in question was an old wood shop, along a river, containing a coffin-like box that he constructed himself that was chained to the floor.
No.
It had a wooden frame and sheet metal walls, so basically just a metal box.
Ew.
No.
Yep. He rigged the wood shop with an alarm that would call his telephone if Julie escaped. He locked her up inside, went home to get some rest, and sure enough, his phone rang a few hours later, Julie had gotten free of her coffin.
Do you know how far away the lair was? Or was it just in
Not
his
far.
backyard?
It wasn't in his backyard, but it was like a quick drive.
Okay.
Shit.
So panicking, Michael sped back to the wood shop where Julie had indeed escaped her cell, but had not been able to get out of the larger locked wood shop that the cell was inside of. Michael, in a fit of rage over his failure and her will to escape, killed Julie by beating her to death with a hammer.
This poor fucking girl.
18 years old.
Julie,
Oh
no.
my God.
And a practice run for a depraved fucking maniac.
Ick.
The following day, he packed her blanket-wrapped body into the trunk of his car and dumped her in a field down a secluded country lane, but like in an area that he knew she would be discovered. So I think she had been in his custody for about 3 days total before he killed her. Knowing that she was dead, but the ransom letter had already been sent, he tried to soldier on with his plan. Julie's fiance involved the police upon receiving the letter, which requested communication or response to the letter, like to the ransom, be printed in the personal ads in the local newspaper. He believed that by leaving Julie's body where it could easily be found, he was setting himself up for success in his next kidnapping attempt by proving that he was serious about the ransom.
Ew.
He's sick.
God.
He taunted police after her body was found with letters saying things like, quote, prostitutes are easy to pick up and I won't spend any more time in prison for killing 2 instead of 1.
Oh
He's
my God.
Probably
Mhm.
right.
What's this
which is
douchebag's
gross.
name again?
His name
Michael
is Michael
Sams?
Sams. There's pictures of him on the
Never
drive.
even heard of him.
Me either. So I was like, what the fuck? When this wasn't going where he wanted it to, like, she's dead. The police know that she's dead. He's not going to get this ransom. So he's kind of floundering at this point for some money. So then he threatened to commandeer and crash a commuter train and also like poison food at supermarket chains.
Is
He
this
did-
him, this dorky older man
Mm-hmm.
with the collar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
He did none of those things that he threatened.
Oh my God. That's him?
Yeah, he's so
He
unassuming.
Does not look like this kind of guy.
Again, looks like my dad.
Super
He
looks like your
He
dad.
kind of looks like a Mr. Potato Head.
Yeah.
He looks like an
AKA
Italian
my
version
dad.
of your dad.
Kinda. Yeah, a dark-haired version of my dad, basically.
The
With more hair.
glasses and
Mm-hmm.
but don't all of his features look fake, like they've just been slapped
Totally.
onto a head that's the wrong size?
And like
for
a
them?
little off.
Thin lips.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh, and this is his lair?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
We'll get to the lair. So now he's frustrated and he's unpaid. So he goes back on the hunt for another ransom victim. This time someone he deemed more valuable than a sex worker. On January 22nd, 1992, Michael assumed a false name and arranged to meet with a real estate agent named Stephanie Slater to view a property. After he met her there and she brought him inside, he attacked her, tied her up, and took her to his lair.
Oh my God.
This had been Stephanie's first appointment of the day, and when she didn't return to the office for like lunch, as she usually did, her coworkers were immediately concerned. But it wasn't long before the office phone rang and Michael's voice on the line said, quote, Stephanie's been kidnapped. A ransom demand will be in the post tomorrow. If you contact police, she will die. So
Oh my
Michael
God.
placed her, some reports said he put her in like the metal box. But if you look at the picture on the drive, there's one that basically looks like an overturned trash can. I might not have included that.
Under the green and orange blanket?
No, I don't think that picture's on here.
Okay, it might not have made it. But he had crafted like another coffin-sized cell out of basically like a wheeling trash bin. And then he would like a plastic one and he would lock her in it by like locking the lid.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So whether he also like, I don't know, improved it or like strengthened it with metal, I'm not 100% sure, but it's like it's been upgraded so that it was escape proof after what happened with Julie.
It was fortified.
Yep. So
Ugh.
Stephanie's colleagues did indeed call the police, who agreed that this appeared to be the same man who had killed Julie Dart that they hadn't caught yet, and that this ransom needed to be taken seriously. This time, the ransom amount was £175,000, and a deadline to receive it was set for January 29th. So she was kidnapped on the 22nd They had 7 days.
Yeah.
Yep. To prove he was serious, he sent a package. This is so fucked up. He sent a package to the police with a tape recording of Julie, his previous victim, begging the police to cooperate from when she was captured.
Poor baby.
So he's basically sending the message that folks didn't cooperate last time and now Julie's dead. So, like, you better cooperate this time.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that so fucked up?
Everything about this is so fucked up.
It's so gross. So the day before the ransom was due, Michael called Stephanie's office once again and demanded to speak with her boss, a man named Kevin Watt. He asked, "Have you got the money ready?" And Kevin replied that he had. Michael responded, "You will get a call at 3:00 tomorrow," and hung up the phone. Police were recording this call without Michael's knowledge and intended to release the audio recording to the public in the hopes that someone could identify Michael's voice.
Okay.
In the meantime, Kevin put together the money and awaited the call from Michael with instructions on where to deliver the ransom, which was a creepy fucking bridge over an abandoned railway near Barnsley. That photo's also on the drive.
Don't
It's
like
so creepy.
anything about that.
It's so fucking creepy. Like the one wider
You could
pulled
just
out
be
shot
watched
with like
from any angle
Yeah.
as you're dropping off the cash.
where you can see like the wagon wheel trail covered
Yeah.
in mud, like going toward this abandoned bridge.
Just like overgrowth.
Yeah, it's really fucking creepy. So Kevin followed the instructions that he was given, putting the money on a metal tray that was affixed to a pulley system. Michael was hiding under the bridge below like a fucking troll.
Ew.
And once the money was in the tray, he pulled it down and took it before fleeing the scene on a motorcycle. Like, he's such a fucking drama king. I can't.
God.
Despite police trailing Kevin and a tracker that was in the bag that had the money in it, Michael had removed the money from the bag, ditching the tracker, and was able to evade the police and escape with the money.
No, this fucking moron is. Ugh.
Mm-hmm.
Ew.
Fortunately, he was true to his word. So once he got back to his lair with the money, he released Stephanie from her captivity. He like drove her to a nearby road and then just
Dumped her.
tossed her out. Yep.
Yeah.
So she had survived 8 days in that like coffin trash bin with limited food and water rations and was able to return home.
How do you ever go back to life?
I mean, we'll get to it. Poor thing. But
Oh, God.
the tapes of his calls to Stephanie's office were released on a show called Crime Watch that aired on the BBC. Fortunately, a woman named Susan Oak, who was a former wife of Michael Sams,
I was going to say, he's got a lot of wives to recognize his voice.
a lot of ex-wives, regularly recorded this program on VHS. So I think she was working as like a nurse or something, and so she wasn't home when this aired, but she was like a true crime buff, so she liked
fucking
to record it.
cool is that?
So then she could re-listen to it, too.
pretty much. So she watched the show and immediately recognized Michael's voice and called the police to turn him in. Police arrived to arrest him the next day, and their investigation of his lair corroborated all of the details that Stephanie had provided them. Quote, Sams was an arrogant man who hoisted himself on the petard, I don't know, the Brits, of his own self-confidence, and his luck ran out, said DS Bob Taylor in July of 93. Stephanie was forever traumatized by this event. Michael was cruel, only letting her out of her coffin twice a day to use the restroom and eat. She remained bound and gagged when she wasn't eating, and like blindfolded all the time,
Oh, my God.
or at
in
least
a
part of the
garbage
time.
can.
Basically in a garbage can, like a corrugated metals fortified garbage can.
Ick.
Oh, my God.
Yep. And he threatened to electrocute her if she moved. He had affixed like electrodes and wiring to her chest for the duration of her captivity.
And if you're in a metal garbage can, there's no reason at all to
I think
believe
the
you
can
wouldn't
itself-
be electrocuted.
If I remember the photo, the can itself was plastic, but
But this
she
dude's
had
already proven that he's off
Completely
his
nuts.
fucking rocker. So, like,
Mhm.
whatever he says, he's capable of.
yeah,
And he has his own little private lair. He can do whatever the fuck creepy
He
things
wants.
he wants to.
And he did, including raping her multiple times over the course of that 8 days.
Ugh.
Mhm.
Gross.
So this is a quote from Wikipedia. Quote, following her release, Stephanie Slater, felt unable to return to work as a real estate agent and moved to the Isle of Wight in 1993. She subsequently worked with police forces to advise them on how to deal with kidnapped survivors and with the survivors themselves to help them to recover from their ordeals. But she died.
Amazing, gracious queen.
I know. I know. But unfortunately, she died on August 31st, 2017 at only 50 years old from cancer. So
gal.
Michael was...
Poor gal.
I know. It's so sad. It's like you don't even get that long on this earth and you spent a week of it
Utterly
in literal hell.
petrified. Yeah.
And then you have to live out the rest of your days like trying to heal as best you fucking can from that trauma, and then cancer just takes you when you're 50.
All
Like
because this guy is a complete depraved psychopath.
psychopath.
And you
Fucking
were
psychopath.
just there.
You were just available. Like you just had, I mean, it was the 90s. So like there was the internet, but mostly the newspaper. Maybe she just so happened to be in an advertisement for real estate. It's just so fucking random.
Yeah, he just finds the number of a realtor. I mean, realtors are very vulnerable. Anyone
Absolutely.
who's dealing with like members of the public and strangers that they don't know one-on-one, it's vulnerable.
And a lot of people who work in real estate are
Women.
Yeah.
So Michael knew exactly what he was fishing for. Someone who likely had or was connected to money and was vulnerable. And there would be no questions asked in
Setting up
meeting
a
them
meeting.
at a discreet location. Yeah.
Like
So-
basically of his choosing too.
Yeah. Pretty much just from whatever listings, like
Yeah.
it would be so fucking easy. So Michael was tried and convicted for this kidnapping, as well as the kidnapping and murder of Julie Dart, and he was sentenced to life in prison. While behind bars, he was a fucking menace, even attacking a female guard with a metal spike, for which he got an additional 8 years added to his life term.
Jesus Christ.
He did get a 4,000 pound settlement from the government because his prosthetic leg was lost during a prison transfer.
Okay, I'm laughing because this guy's a
He
fucking
deserved
prick.
it. Yeah.
Oh my God.
But the public was pissed that he was given any money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then emboldened by this quote unquote win of his, he filed a civil suit against the prison because, quote, his bed was too hard.
Oh my
Oh.
God.
Fuck yourself.
Yeah. This fucking guy. Shockingly, that civil case did not go anywhere.
They should award him the 4,000 pound settlement, but he can only access the money when he's out of prison
When he's
and
free.
he's serving a life sentence plus 8 years.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It's like, what are you going to do with that money? Buy a bunch of ramen?
I'm going to Disney World.
Well, yeah, but I mean, he could buy little comforts for himself, and he doesn't fucking deserve them.
I know.
No, he
yeah.
doesn't. But we'll get to how he feels about being in prison.
I don't. Can you access your own bank account when you're in prison like that?
I
I
think
don't
you have to
know.
have somebody else that transfers money
Transfer
to
money.
your commissary.
Yeah. So it's not like he got handed 4,000 pounds necessarily,
Well,
No.
who knows?
but still,
I'm not sure.
It
how
also
he-
might be different in the UK. Who knows?
Exactly.
It's the principle also.
It's the principle of it. Exactly. So he remains in prison with no consideration for parole in sight, which is actually very uncommon in the UK. Even with like murder charges, usually there's a required minimum and then you go before the parole
Chance
board.
of parole, yeah.
Yep. So according to Wikipedia, quote, he is among the oldest and longest serving life sentence prisoners in England and Wales. This seems fine by him, though, as he penned a letter that ran, there's like a newspaper for prisoners,
Okay.
I guess, over there. And he penned a letter that ran in this paper about how much better life was behind bars than out in the streets.
Well, great. The streets agree
Yep.
that they're
So-
better without you. So
1,000%. And he's not necessarily talking about just like general freedom, but he was writing it as like a commentary on basically the social security system for elderly and like older UK residents. So, quote, in 2007, he wrote a letter to Inside Time, the newspaper for prisoners.
Inside
Time.
serving time.
Yeah. In which he claimed OAPs in prison are far better off than those in the community. He bragged about his living conditions in HMP Whitemoor, Cambridgeshire, were better than what he could expect as a free man.
What's OAP?
It's probably prisoners. People in prison are far better off, like convicted criminals. I don't know what it stands for. It's some UK thing.
Okay.
At the time, he was responding to a campaign for elderly convicts to receive the state pension, so like get Medicare and Social Security. how many prisoners who are totally dependent on the basic state pension and live in rented accommodation are able to spend around 20 pounds per week on luxuries, he wrote. Most struggle to keep warm in winter, afraid to put the heating on, barely eating, let alone getting 3 square ready-made meals per day. Free access to the gym to keep those joints supple, and no bills except for £1 per week TV rental.
So an OAP is like a pensioner, like an old person up
sure.
for pension. I Googled it.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
Old ass person.
Old ass person.
Old age pensioner.
Got it. So have you ever seen an OAP inmate in tatty clothes or scruffy trainers? Not a hope. Materially, we OAPs in prison are far better off than those in the community.
I mean,
so they're saying that the prison system is providing them with more services and luxuries in prison than the state is providing free OAPs. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Fine.
That may be true.
Obviously, Social Security benefits should be more generous. Sure, fine, whatever. Still, fuck this guy.
Fuck this guy. He doesn't get to soapbox for the rights of fucking elderly pensioners.
Yeah, that's fucking
You're not an
dumb.
advocate.
No, and also, congrats. You were published in the Inside Times.
You fucking
I'm glad
monster.
you're doing. You're reaching such a wide audience that can really make moves, I'm sure.
What a dildo.
Isn't he such a fucking pube? I just hate him so much.
I do
He's a
too.
horrible man who ruined 2 totally innocent people's lives for greed and his own fantasies and lack of impulse control and psychopathy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Shit.
He just wanted to be the next, Jack the Ripper.
Piece of shit.
Completely nuts.
So
anyway, that's my case.
Well, well done.
Good job.
And thank you to our fan picker, Rebecca Evans, for taking us across the pond this week.
Yes, indeed.
And we didn't do too much of the bad accents.
No, we did all
it.
right.
Oh.
Oi. We'll see you next week.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Wine and Crime. Our cover art is by Kala Yip, music by Phil Young and Corey Wendell, editing by Jonathan Camp. Check out our website and blog at wineandcrimepodcast.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Wine and Crime Pod. If you have questions, answers, or recommendations to share, email us at wineandcrimepodcast@gmail.com. Episodes are available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, basically wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And if you like the show, please rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts. It is the best way to spread the word. If you'd like to show your support, visit our Patreon page to keep this podcast and the wine flowing. Cheers.